What's good, YouTube? In this video, I'm going to show you guys how to get rid of ABS and install steel braided brake lines on your 450Ss and everything I used. This method will not have the ABS light on, and you won't have to replace your master cylinder or brake calipers. There's two other methods I'll mention real quick if you don't want to do that or only want ABS off temporarily. First is doing a burnout, obviously, just tricks the ABS. But every time you cycle the bike back on, you have to do it again. Another method is unplugging the rear wheel speed sensor. As you can see right here, it's located underneath the right side of the fuel tank on the frame. With this, the ABS light will always be on, but you won't have ABS. Now the hardware, you'll need 4 of these plugs to plug the ABS pump. Obviously, new brake lines. I got mine from Graves Motorsports. You don't need any more hardware other than that if you plan on using the OEM banjo bolts. But I'll show you real quick what I also bought for this install. I bought 2 new banjo bolts to replace the one at the front master cylinder and then the one at the rear caliper. I also had to buy the banjo bolt for the rear master cylinder that turns the brake light on when you hit the rear brake lever. I ended up basically severing the wires when I was taking that banjo bolt off, but if you're careful, you don't need to buy that. So you'll need to bleed your brakes dry to get rid of all the brake fluid. Then you'll need to take your fairings and plastics off to access the fuel tank. I'll show you guys real quick how to take the fuel tank off. You need to take, obviously, the 2 bolts in the front and back of the fuel tank. Once you've done that, you'll need to unplug these 2 lines from the front and then these 2 sensors on each side, and then the fuel line from the pump. Once you've done that, you can lift the tank off and you'll have access to the ABS pump. Now I'm going to show you guys what you need to take off to get the brake lines out. Obviously, the 4 banjo bolts at the ABS pump, but for the front, you need to unscrew this bolt at the master cylinder and then also this bolt at the caliper. Then you'll need to go underneath the headlight and take this bolt off. Also, you'll need to take this plastic off right here. It's just held on with 3 bolts. Now for the back, if you haven't already, the banjo bolts at the ABS pump. You'll need to take this rear set guard thing off, and then also the rear wheel chain guard thing. It's held on by 2 bolts on each side, and then 1 right there in the middle. You also need to take your exhaust off. Once you got all that out the way, you'll need to take the banjo bolt off at the rear master cylinder. And like I said earlier, be careful when doing this because you don't want to rip the wires out like I did. You can also follow the line up to where it connects on the frame and unplug it there, so you don't even risk twisting the wires too much and severing them. Then you'll also need to take the banjo bolt off at the rear caliper. Once you've done all that, you can take the lines out. Now once you've gotten all the lines out, you should plug the ABS pump, if you haven't already, with the 4 bolts that I showed you in the beginning, or the 4 plugs that I showed you in the beginning of this video. Now it's time to install the new lines. For the front, I had the 90-degree bend on the line at the caliper, and then the straight one at the master cylinder, as you guys see here. When putting on these, just make sure you have it in this order: banjo bolt, washer, brake line, and then another washer. Now for the back, I had the 90-degree bend at the rear caliper and the straight end at the rear master cylinder. That's just what worked for me. And like I said earlier, don't forget to have, banjo bolt, washer, brake line, and then another washer when installing. Once you have the lines installed, you'll need to add brake fluid. The best way is reverse bleeding, and that's just with a syringe and some brake fluid. Put it through the bleeder bolt until you see it coming out the brake reservoir. I mean, you can do it any other way. You can do manual brake bleeding, vacuum pump it, but reverse bleeding is usually the easiest when going from a straight dry system. But once you've done that and your front brake and your rear brake is firm, you're good to reinstall everything else. I hope this video helped you out on how to get rid of ABS on the 450SS. If you have any questions or concerns, leave them down in the comment section below, and I'll make sure to answer them. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like this video and subscribe. Peace.